And welcome back. Your questions for the gang continue right now with this from West Vancouver, BC, Daniel Ung. Is the party system subverting the fundamentals of Canadian democracy? Is this a source of political apathy? Can the party system undergo democratic renewal, or is it even a democratic problem? There's a lot in there. Alan.
Well, I think the parties themselves are a very, very useful tool for aggregating what otherwise would be special interests, either regional, linguistic, class, trying to have to come together and find compromise. So that as an institution, I think they're very, very useful. Where I think they are outliving their usefulness is in terms of the discipline that's applied to the individual members, that they're not allowed to show any creativity, to show any innovation. They're not allowed to initiate, and that I think is stifling to the individuals, and I think it's a turn-off for people in the larger political process who are looking in.
Chantal?
I agree that parties are essential, especially at the federal level, where you do want to have Westerners and Quebecers and Ontarians and people from Newfoundland under the same roof, bringing their different perspectives. That's what makes Parliament actually an interesting place, and parties do serve that purpose. But where it stops is that they have now become so regimented that they dwarf the people who are in it. And so you have situations, for instance, in Quebec, the most popular politician is Amir Kadir, who is a one-man band, who is the only elected person from his party, and who has become quite a force in his own right because he speaks his mind, he's not stuck on a party line. And I think parties need to look at that, because they are taking individuals and they're like pasteurizing them and making them actually less interesting once they're in than when they came in or when they go out. And that's got to be an issue.
We'll see if that happens to Julian Vantino. That'll be interesting. Rex?
I think there's a couple of problems. One is that in some ways they become very out of touch. I don't think under 30 people would understand political parties as they might have understood them 30 years ago. And secondly, not even at the leadership level, like a party leader or a premier, even at district level, they become owned very easily. If you're talking practical politics, there'll be one guy in a certain district, or guy and a woman who've been around for a long time. They own the machinery for the period that it's in, and they keep out a lot of people. So yeah, party politics, as it's practiced, is a very narrow base that looks like it's much larger. It can be taken over by one or two people, held onto for very long periods of time. And in the aggregate, on a national level, yeah, the fact that leadership now in the political parties is so strong, it really does choke off vitality, innovation, and energy. So I think it is an impediment. It needs to be revised. I don't know how.
Andrew.
Two things that you could do to change the power dynamic between the ordinary MP and the party leader. One is go back to the system of having the leader chosen by the caucus. That's their job, is supposed to be to lead that caucus. Right now what happens is they get elected by the party at large, and they can basically tell the caucus to buzz off. And conversely, eliminate the legal requirement, unique to Canada, I believe, that every MP, every candidate must get the leader's signature in their nomination papers. So what we have right now is, instead of the caucus choosing the leader effectively chooses the caucus, and everything else flows from that.
All right, last question. It's a video question. Here it is.
My name is Katie Skinner, and I'm here in Rotary Park in my hometown of Ajax, Ontario. Recently, declining voter turnout, hyperpartisanship and incivility, and a seemingly less accountable parliament have led many Canadians to believe that our democracy is in real trouble. What can we do to bridge the growing gap between Canadians and our democratic institutions?
All right, good question. Chantal.
Go vote. You're not going to fix the system or make it more accountable by not staying home and by not voting. You instead invite parties to cater to those who are committed voters, and then in a sense increase the distance between the voters at large and the parties. So if you want to change the system, put the fear of God in politicians, go vote.
Alan.
Well, I'm with Andrew. I have no problem with mandatory voting at all. I think you have to institute different changes that draw people closer to the political process. And I touched a little bit on this e-democracy, and trying to make politics relevant by giving people some input into the system. And the evidence is that if people are forced to live with the consequences of their decisions, over time they will make better decisions. And that our political class, I think, will start responding to an electorate that is much more vital and alive to what is going on. So it's almost like a catch-22, is that something has to give at some point, and it probably starts with someone starting to defend the system.
All right, we're out of time, but we're going to do a quick around the horn on election 2011. Will there be one?
I'm sticking with 2012.
Okay, Rex.
Spring 2011.
Okay, Chantal.
Spring 2011 or not.
Well, that's pretty good.
Thank
in
you.
the sense
Thank you for that. That's
provincial
very good.
elections
Do you have
in the
another
fall.
show you have to go appear on
Yes,
now?
I'm almost gone.
Cassandra.
All right, Alan, you
If
speak
it's
it.
spring 2011, it will be a mistake. But I think it's a mistake that's quite likely to be made
By whom?
by the Liberals.
Allowing an election to happen.
I think they will not be able to stand the prospect of being called chicken, and that they will defeat the government on the budget, and we'll be into
Now,
it.
in the time we've taken making these predictions that nobody knows, I could have talked about electoral reform.
You could have, and now you know why we did this. Listen, we wish you all the best for the last few hours of this year, and of course the best for all of next year. And that's our special program, our At Issue, your At Issue for this year. We'll be back right after this.